Rob, you've joined us all the way from Texas. Please, can you tell me about your job title and your vision for your company?
Yes, so I'm co-founder of ZenCash. I'm the team lead. We're a fairly kind of non-hierarchical organization with hierarchies, if that makes any sense. Limited though, and my role really is from taking the vision for why we launched to then starting to execute and kind of parse out the work into our functional teams.
Right, and your platform is based on good ethics. You've said in the past you want to have a decentralized, trust-based or trustless system. Is that naive for the finance industry?
Probably, yeah, and I strive to be naive, but we can overcome that maybe. I think it's important to start with really good target, right? And kind of the brand that we're cultivating is we're the trustworthy guys, the people that are going way out of our way to be transparent, ethical, and I think that this makes really good long-term business sense. And I think that's something that's overlooked for people that are kind of more into what are we going to do right now to kind of like maximize our profits. For us, it's more just about where are we going to be in 50 years and where do we think we can kind of take the world with us.
So tell me about that vision. Where will you be in 50 years?
Yeah. So the vision, like what we really want to do is to just create like a virtual nation in a way where it's just, there's no borders. We have just kind of a peer-to-peer economic and social system that anyone in the world can participate in. So we're trying to identify these artificial frictions that kind of keep people separated and tear them down one at a time. And you can see that kind of in our product mix. Maybe it doesn't seem as coherent, but that really is the vision.
How is ZenCash different from and potentially better than other privacy-based coins?
Yeah, well, I'll hold off on the better thing because I personally support the entire space. I think that the space is very important and very needed. So what we're doing is we're promoting privacy as a human right. We have a little slice of that. So we're not necessarily just a cryptocurrency. We use zero-knowledge cryptography, which is a fancy way of basically giving people like true privacy. And we start there as kind of like a transaction cryptocurrency, but then we start building out a whole platform, like in a whole network. So for instance, we have almost as many nodes in our network as Bitcoin after just a couple months of starting this secure node system that we have. And then we flipped that around and realized, okay, we're approaching like 10,000 nodes. This is a massive asset. Let's start building stuff on top of it. So that's really the vision, was start off as like a really privacy-oriented cryptocurrency and then build out this big network architecture and start building services on top of that that are really useful to people around the world.
Which major merchants do you have on board?
So my favorite way to spend Zen right now is to go with TorGuard, like my VPN service of choice. So that's really cool. But what I will say about the merchant space...
Why do you need a tour guard?
Yeah, exactly, right? But what I will say is we're not anywhere close as an industry to really having widespread merchant adoption. And the big reason is every merchant has kind of its own supply chain denominated in their local currency. And there's they have to match their revenue streams to their supply chain currency, or else they become a financial player where they're hedging currency risk. No merchant wants to hedge currency risk because it's not part of their business models. So one thing that we're looking at is a price stable currency where people could actually, denominate it in Zen, but say stable in British pound or US dollar or euro.
You've spoken in some depth about your treasury system, and could you give us an overview of what problem this is trying to solve?
The big problem is having humans in the loop, because humans could do all sorts of weird things, whether they mean to or not. Many of them good, some of them not so good. So what we're trying to do is to actually create a real DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where we have a bunch of funding that comes through the organization every day, every block that's mined. We have new funding coming in, and we have to make a decision on how to allocate the funds. And what's the most fair way to allocate it? What's a provably fair way to do it? We think that building this into the software, code itself, is the most provably long-term fair way to allocate resources.
Your company's been running for less than a year now, about 10 months?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, you've already come a long way. You've got a partnership with IOHK. How's that going?
Wonderful. Yeah, so IOHK's CEO, Charles Hoskinson, is just an awesome guy whose vision for where he wants to take this industry is very much in line with what we have. So we were very fortunate to have a major research and development contract with them where they're doing 2 major projects for us right now. This treasury voting system, where they're leveraging a year's worth of game theory research, in cryptography and economics to, build this, I think, next generation voting system. The other is a major protocol upgrade to something called the DAG, a directed acyclic graph, which is really just a fancy language to say we're generalizing the blockchain structure so that we can do many blocks in parallel, so that we can massively increase transaction throughput. And I think this is really important for if we ever want to go into a true payment system, you have to have payments processed in seconds, with high assurance of non-reversibility or irreversibility. And the third thing goes towards our mandate for usability. Like, this industry doesn't do a very good job at making products useful to people. So one thing that we're doing besides these really big product upgrades or whatnot is we're working with IOHK to just integrate into OpenBazaar to now have a nice peer-to-peer kind of version of eBay that our users can participate in with Zen.
Okay, when can we expect to see that on the web, on my smartphone, on my tablet?
Yeah. So OpenBazaar we're a couple issues away from wrapping that project up, so that'll be near term. By what are we now coming to the end of the first quarter? So definitely within the second quarter, you'll be able to participate, in OpenBazaar. Actually, by the end of the second quarter as well, we have a complete revision of all of our wallet products. Because our first generation wallet products were good, but still first generation wallet products, which are basically designed by engineers for engineers. Now we're actually designing this stuff with the end user in mind. So it's just a different way of looking at product development. And I'm really excited for just basically we're going to have a flagship set of wallets released to the market by the end of this next quarter, which will be basically a super simple, consistent user experience for whether you go to the full node or like client on desktop versus a mobile wallet versus a web wallet. It'll all be the same user experience, which I think is really important.
So where do you see ZenCash by 2020?
Everywhere. No, I do. I see it everywhere. But clearly, I'm also an academic, and I'll tell you, managers have a huge bias for their own projects, right? So, but I think that we mean really well, and we're really aggressive. We have an awesome team, and we're just moving in the right direction.
Can you mean well and be aggressive?
Totally. Yeah, if you're doing the right thing for the right reasons. Because
Are you social justice warriors?
No, maybe in our own way. We want peace and freedom and accessibility for people. That's kind of our version of social justice. We keep it simple, but we let other people worry about the more complex problems.